Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes and I am delighted you're with us today. Our guest today for the third time is Kim Hodous. And Kim is someone I really love talking to because she's so triumphant over she's had some tragic things happen in her life and she has turned them into powerful, positive work for other people. I love that story. First, Kim lost her 2-year-old daughter, Chelsea, to leukemia, and she was a young mother, and she had 4 children under the age of 5, and a 2-year-old died of leukemia. Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know what I would have done with that, but what she did was something powerful. She buried her grief in mothering those 3 children, and then she turned it into writing 4 books and spending a beautiful 15-year career, get this, as the happiness speaker, teaching companies how best to have happy employees. I don't know if you could have done that. I could not have done that. But that's what Kim did. Beautiful. But then, after all of her children had grown, her beautiful son, Rob, died at 29 of a drug overdose. Again, I don't know how I could have handled that, but she handled it, again, beautifully. After Rob died, within just a few months, she discovered the grief recovery method. And wow, I've got to say, this is one woman who is very resourceful. She got herself certified in the grief recovery method, and she began to deal with her own grief by helping other mothers deal with the suffering and grief of the loss of an adult child. Kim's son, Rob, soon began to come through to her, and then he began to teach her how to connect with him in a special way that she now is able to teach other mothers. And so Kim Hodous is literally a beacon. This woman is a beacon of hope and joy. And she's with us now for the third time because, frankly, I can't get enough of her myself. She is a beacon, a ray of sunshine. And I am so happy to have you back with us on Seek Reality. Welcome, darling.
You could be any happier to have me here than I am to be here. I am thrilled to be back and humbled by your beautiful words. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, all right. We talked a little bit about what we should have you talk about. And frankly, we've got several topics for several more times of just sitting and visiting when you're sitting there on your porch. But what I would like to have you talk about, I think, is this relationship that you have with Rob, because he's a powerful spirit. And, not everybody's children are able to be powerful spirits right away. Pretty much right away is what he was when he began to come through to you. But he's somebody who wants to help. And you're someone who wants to help. And that's a powerful team. So how did it happen that he began to come through to you and began to help through you?
Well, the very first connection I had with Rob, it's very different than our connection now. But as you said, I'm a motivational speaker and I speak on the topic of happiness, which I'll just segue for a minute. After my daughter Chelsea died, I was 31 years old. I had 4 children under the age of 5. Then, I lost Chelsea and I was just in such deep grief. I couldn't turn it around. My friends always called me Mary Poppins. I was that glass half full kind of girl. And after Chelsea died, I just fell into a pit of despair. And I have a really cool story of how I turned things around, which I'm happy to share another time. But through that experience, what I really realized was, the morning after Chelsea died, I remember my husband looking at me and he was just like, life is never going to be the same. Nothing's ever going to be the same. And I remember when I had this really powerful experience, I thought back to that moment and I thought, if life is never going to be the same, then I only have two choices for Chelsea having been here. Life can get better or life can get worse because it's not going to stay the same.
Yep.
And I just remember thinking, I am not going to let Chelsea's presence here on the earth make my life worse. I'm not going to let it make the lives of my other children worse. And that was really what started me down the path of researching happiness. How do we find true, genuine happiness, especially in the face of devastating loss? I mean, I was a 31-year-old young mother with 4 kids, and then one of my babies was gone. And I mean, that changed my career. I had been a school teacher, and then now I'm a motivational speaker. And I always say I have the best job in the world. I get to fly all over the country and make people happy. And I actually, after COVID, I was stranded in a hotel room in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I got the call from the police that they had found Rob dead in his apartment from a fentanyl, it was a fentanyl overdose, but they actually call it a fentanyl poisoning when it's not intentional. You know, oftentimes people think, and it's so rampant now, I don't think when we think of overdose, we don't think of it as a suicide anymore. You know, it's just because the drugs have gotten so awful. And he did not know he was taking fentanyl. He thought he was taking heroin. He had been an addict. He'd been clean for 2 years. But that night was the first time. So when I got the call from the police, I then had to call my husband, and then we called each of our kids individually. And then we got all of us on the phone together. And I did not cry one tear. I didn't cry one tear that night. I knew when it came, there was going to be no stopping it. I didn't cry the next morning I took the shuttle bus to the airport. I didn't cry in the, waiting to get on the plane. I didn't cry in my seat on the plane. I didn't cry when I saw my husband at the bottom of the escalator waiting for me. When we got in the car, we needed gas because I always need gas in my car. And we got the gas. And when he pointed that car towards home, I broke wide open. My husband and I have never spoken about that moment again. It is like just even the thought of it is painful. I wailed and I cried, and it was just a mother's grief unleashed. And I feel like that had a total grip on me for a month.
Oh my God.
That night in the hotel, because I didn't sleep and because I think our brains have a protective mechanism, because I think if I had let in the reality of that experience, I think I would have just disintegrated. And so that night, all night, Rob just kept saying to me, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed, because he'd been clean for 2 years. So he had started a little tennis program, a little tennis academy up on Mount Sequoia, right? And he was the lead stringer for the Arkansas Razorbacks. He had just totally turned his life around. And there were so many people at his funeral that didn't even know he had a drug problem. I mean, he had really turned things around. And so, he was
not a suicide. He was not trying to kill himself.
Oh, no, he was trying to get high. It was the middle of a snowstorm there. He had gotten these drugs. He'd started dating a new girl. We know from his phone that she thought it would be romantic to do heroin together. Police. And so he thought he was doing heroin, which when he was an active addict was his drug of choice. And I don't blame her. I don't hold her in any form responsible. No, I'd have no anger towards her. And Rob has assured me now, and so much of this is in his book. I mean, this was his karma. It was his destiny. It was his soul contract. It was his path. Yeah. She was a part of it. I was a part of it. Everybody, we all had our part, and that was her part in this experience.
Part of his plan.
Yep.
He has told you that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Over and over again. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so, that night, I felt so connected, and Rob and I were close. And I just felt so connected to him. And I just kept saying to him, buddy, it's okay. It's okay. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to be embarrassed. I'm going to make it okay. I'm going to make it okay. And his funeral was so healing. There was so much love in that room. There were almost 300 people. Rob was just such a big personality. He was fun. He was bright. He never turned dark, even when he was actively using. He never blamed people. He never became angry. And, like it is easy to do, when you're in the grips of addiction. But he always kept his bright, bubbly personality. And, I just kept saying, bud, I'll make it okay. And I tell the story in the book that, I said to him, why drugs? Why did you choose to go out that way? And he said, you had already lost one child to disease. And, I didn't, he's like, I figured that would be really triggering for you. And Rob was a really good looking dude. And he goes, and besides, I'd lose all my hair. Oh, that boy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. That's so funny.
Yeah. And then he said, and if I had like a terminal illness, he said, then my whole life becomes about that illness. And he said, drugs were just a part of my life. They weren't my whole life. I mean, he was an incredible athlete. He was a tennis instructor, a stringer. He was really much more of a tennis player and an athlete. That was his main thing. He just happened to also have a drug problem on the side. He said if it was a car accident, he said that would just be another tragedy that's written about in the paper. But he said, Mom, you speak to tens of thousands of people a year. And I knew if I went out this way, you would bring awareness to it. And I try to do that every single time I'm absolutely on the platform. Yeah. Yeah.
So he was talking to you from the first.
Well, he was. And then when I cracked open, so on that car ride home, when I cracked open, it was like I somehow lost that tender connection. And then he started going, I have a very good friend, who is a psychic. Her first psychic experience was when she was 4. Rob also, he had a degree in entrepreneurship and he had a pest control business and he did her pest control. So she saw him regularly. And so he immediately went through to her because he knew she could get the messages. Yeah. So for a month, so he died on February 2nd. So this past week was the 4-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
4 years. I know. Just, I have a pretty big email list and I sent out an email and I said, it's so weird. It's like, it feels like it happened yesterday. And then at the same time, it feels like it's always been this way. It's hard sometimes to remember what it was like when he was alive. Grief is so weird, and even in the same day, I can feel like, I still literally every once in a while think, oh God, I got to call Rob. And like, oh shit. Well, I just need to tell Rob because he's here, Right. And, yeah. And then sometimes it feels like, it's always been like this. So, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. I don't remember where I was going.
You were talking, he was able to speak through his his client.
Yes, yes. Eve, she was a personal friend. And so she would be, so Rob was just relentless. I mean, she was calling me like every day. Sometimes she was calling me twice a day. She's like, I'm so sorry to bother you. I am like, no. Every time I see your name on my phone, I get so excited. And so she's giving me all these messages. So he died on February 2nd and it was on March 6th. On March 5th, I was talking to Eve and I said to her, I'm having a little pity party for myself. I said, I'm really grateful for all these messages, but I said, I want to talk to him direct. I don't want to have to go through you. And she got quiet for a minute and she said, open your computer tomorrow morning and he'll be there. And I'm sure Rob gave her those words.
Right.
And so that next morning I got up, I have this big overstuffed chair that was in Rob's apartment. He had it with a picture hanging above it that he had hanging in his apartment. And I plopped down in there with my little cup of decaf coffee and, opened my computer and said, Eve said, if I started typing, you'd be here. And all I can tell you is that it was like something took over my hands. It wasn't conscious thought. It wasn't me typing. It was just my hands were flying. And I sat there for hours because I didn't know if this was one and done. I couldn't see what was coming. Absolutely. I thought this might be it. Yeah. So I was just until I had to get up and go pee, I couldn't hold it any longer. I sat there in that chair talking to my boy. And
that's wonderful. So he let it all out. He was just using your fingers and away you go. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And for probably the first year, Roberta, that's how we communicated. Like I wouldn't necessarily hear him in my head. I wouldn't get those nudges. Like it all came through writing. And the system that I teach now other moms to connect with their children is through writing. Because what I have found, the biggest challenge that we all have, every mama that I have worked with, including myself, is we doubt. Is that just me?
That's right. That's exactly right. That's the biggest problem I have, because people want to know how to communicate with their children, with their parents, with their sister, brother, lover. Yeah. They want to know, because I can communicate easily with my spirit guide, and they want to know how can they do it, but they doubt. And that blocks all the communication they could enjoy having if they just trusted. It's so hard.
Yeah. And my program used to be 6 weeks, and now it's 7 weeks because I added in one whole week just to deal with how do we deal with the doubt.
What do you teach them? How do you teach them to deal with the doubt?
Well, it's on a Zoom class, and in that module we talk, it's all mindset and manifestation and, personal belief, and we just do a deep dive. Every class that I teach has something experiential, some kind of process or something we do so that they can get it really ingrained in them that, this is it. I want them to embody it. I don't want them to need me there, obviously, So I try to do all the psychological stuff that they need to create that belief within themselves that this is real. And I have found the best way to do that is having them write down the messages they get, because I'll have them go back and read it, and I'll be like, had you thought that before? Nope. I was talking to one mama last week, and her daughter had passed. It had been less than a year since her daughter had died. And her daughter, there was a wedding that she was going to, and she had already had her dress for the wedding. And her daughter came through and said, "Oh, I'm not going to wear that dress. I'm going to the wedding with you all, but I'm not going to wear that dress." Obviously she's just going to be there in spirit. And then I can't remember all the details, but then her son said something like, "Oh, I have Vonnie's dress, but I don't." Oh, he went to a psychic. He went to a medium, and the medium said something like, "Oh, Vonnie isn't going to wear that dress." And the mom was like blown away. She's like, "I know, Vonnie told me that." And I'm like, do you get it? If a medium tells you, you believe it's her, but she told you and you don't believe it's her. I'm like, trust, it is her. It's her. It's her. We so often we want to believe what a medium says, but we don't believe what we get from our own kids, whether it's they're sending a cardinal or a rainbow or, rocks is heart-shaped rocks. And then, something will come through, and so often we want somebody else to validate it. And they are, the thing that got me to finally, when Rob told me that he was going to teach me a system to teach other mothers, I said, "Oh, thank you, but I'm not interested." I'm like, "Buddy, I stand on stages and talk to people about corporate happiness and how to build, happier teams so people can perform better." And I'm like, I'm not going to be the woman that raises her hand and goes, "Oh yeah, and I'm happy to talk to your dead kid." And he's like, "Oh, no, you are, Mom." And it was like, so we had this 10 days of just duking it out. Him going, "You're going to do it." And me saying, "No, I'm not."
How can you say no to your boy? You can't say no.
Well, yeah, it worked about as well as it did when he was in a body. He's going to do what he wants to do. He was
Right,
so
right.
persistent. So finally, he says, Mom, he says, listen, he says, I'm meeting all these souls over here, and they want to communicate with their mom the way we're communicating. And he said, they are banging on the veil. And I've been a belly dancer for decades. And I have all kinds of veils for my belly dancing. And he said, how much noise does it make when you bang on a veil? It doesn't make a sound. And he's like, they're over here banging on the veil to talk to their moms. You've got moms who are sad and desperate and want to talk to their children. We're just going to hook them up. And it has been so beautiful. The one most surprising element of the whole experience is how involved Rob has been. He will help those mamas. Almost every single testimonial I get from a mom is thank you, Kim and Rob. He's such an integral part of the program. He shows up, he helps those mamas, he helps their kids. One woman went to see a medium, and the medium said, he's hanging out with like a guy who's like 29, 30. And she's like, she couldn't figure out who it was because she didn't know anybody that age that had died. And she said about 10 minutes in, she went, wait, there's this guy. I'm taking this class to learn to connect with him. And there's the woman's son died. And the woman goes, yep, that's who it is. So I just love it because I know those kids are all up there together. They're just rejoicing that their mamas have found the program, that they're able to talk to them. It's been just beautiful.
That is truly beautiful. That is so spectacular and wonderful.
Yeah. And I want to add something here. Rob, when Rob told me he would give me this program, he said, Mom, there's only one caveat. Before you ever teach a class, you need to let every single mom know they don't need your class. Their kid, if they have found you, their kid wants to talk to them. And this holds true for every single person that is listening that has lost somebody that they love. You don't need a class. You don't need permission. You just need to know they are desperate to talk to you. If this is resonating in your soul right now, go home, open a notebook, open your computer, get a clean sheet of paper, and just let it come through. They want to talk to you. They are desperate to talk to us. Desperate. That's why they give us signs, because they want us to know we're here, and they have so much more to share. So I just want to tell everybody that's listening, trust in yourself and trust in your beloved one on the other side. If this is resonating with you, it's because they've got something to tell you, and you don't need me, and you don't need a medium. You don't need anybody else. That love that you have is a big enough bridge to bring the two of you together. So just trust it. I wish I could just take out of my body right now and put into your listeners the knowing that it is so possible, and it takes no special skills. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a medium. I'm not a channel. I don't have the gift. I was just a mother desperately missing her son. And I know there are so many like me. And I just want to tell you, you can have that connection, no special skills required. So just believe in yourself, believe in the love you have with your one, your precious soul on the other side.
So beautifully said, and so true, so completely true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened to me too. I've lost a mother, a grandmother. I've lost an aunt. But thank you God, I've not lost anyone younger than I am. But I'm sure if I did, I would have this happen to me as well. They all want us to know that they love us. They want to talk to us, and just to give us signs that they're okay. And they're having fun. They're having a ton and a half of fun.
Oh my God.
Much fun.
So much fun. Rob is in such bliss. And I think that is the primary message, on my website, messagesformoms.com. If you go down to the bottom, there's 3 things your child on the other side wants you to know. And one of them is just that how good they are. Like we're left here, and I remember Rob telling me that. And I like to swear, but I won't swear on your show. But I was like, F you, Rob. I'm like, you're up there all bliss and happy. I'm down here gutted, devastated, crying,
Right,
snot flowing
right.
on my pillow. I can't even get out of bed. I'm glad things are good for you, but you've, left me down here totally, a wreck. And,
Yeah.
and that connection, but there's so much of this is in the book. He just shares how everybody gets equal access to the light and the love. It doesn't matter if you were a murderer or Mother Teresa. Once we get to the other side, everybody has equal access to the love and the light and the beauty of that place.
That is what it's very important for us to know. We come here to learn, and what we mainly come here to learn is love, and we learn love the best we can. We go back, and then we think, oh my goodness, did I ever screw that up? But we 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 still learned some, and then we go back there and we use what we learned. We use our gifts. We learn to love some more. And my goodness, we didn't do as bad as we think we did. And we meet Jesus, we meet the angels and the archangels, and we just start and we meet all the people that we thought were our enemies here, and they turn out to be our best eternal friends.
Yep.
And we just have so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun there.
Yeah.
And we look down at they were not looking down at them. We're looking right at them.
Mhm.
All the people that are about to join us, but they're still here, and they're not having so much fun because they're sad because we haven't somehow managed to get through to them. And so maybe Mom is pretty cranky because we still haven't managed to get through, but still try, try.
Yeah.
And if you're a mom, listen to what Kim is saying. Open your computer. Start trying to get through, to listen and to get through to your child, because your child wants to give you messages. Your child wants to say, I love you, Mom. I'm sorry for things I did that were maybe not so great, but boy, you should see me now. I'm an angel and I'm just doing wonderful things.
Yeah. So true. So true.
And Rob is doing such good work now.
He is. He is so loving it over there. He originally told my friend Eve that he was going to go back into a body in 51 weeks. He's like, I'm going to be here just shy of a year. And then he came
No.
through to me a couple weeks, but like at about 49 weeks. And that's when he came through and he said, Mom, I'm not going back into a body. He said, I'm going to stay. You and I have more work to do. We have, we're going to, at that point, I knew he had already said to me, so when you read the book, it starts off about the story of how this all happened, but it quickly morphed into the first messages Rob gave me were more just about trying to help me come to peace, help me get grounded again, help me get back on my feet after such a devastating experience. And probably about the 6 or 7 month mark, he started to morph into more teaching. So his book, the book we wrote together, Beyond Grief, how a son's afterlife connection transformed a mother's loss into a remarkable spiritual journey. It became teaching, like on how to do Earth better,
Yes.
I mean, he talks about all kinds of things, everything from friendship to envy and jealousy to, just he leaves sex, marriage, he leaves no stone unturned. There was some stuff I'm like, Rob, I don't know if I can put this in there. He's like, that's the great thing about being on this side. I don't care anymore. I just want to tell the truth. I'm like, okay, well, here we go.
Oh, he's so funny. Oh my
Yeah, he
goodness.
is. Oh, he is. He's still a joker. But anyways, the messages morphed. And then when he said he was going to give me a system to teach, like I had shared, I was resistant at first, and then it just became like, okay, this is part of our soul contract. This is part of what we're doing. And he said, Mom, we've got more books to write. We've got more classes to teach. And that is when Mama stood her ground. I went, nope, Mama's full up right now. I am not doing anything else yet. I got to integrate all this other stuff that has happened. And so we're in a good plane right now. We've got the book, we've got the class. I'm like, buddy, we're set. So.
And all of this information is in the information associated with this episode of Seek Reality. So you can find it right there, including her website. So you don't have to drive the car off the road to try to write this down. It's all in the information that's right there. So what is it that you want people most to take away from what you're telling them today?
The main thing is, especially if they're on your show on this day for this episode, they're not here by accident. They are here because there's something they needed to hear. And I think what that is that your loved one is still there and your loved one is communicating with you and they are asking you to trust them and believe it is them. I think they get so frustrated on the other side when they will send us these messages, they send us these signs, and then we continually are like, well, I don't know if it's really them. They're like, right. What the hell do I have to do to prove myself? And again, I think I love mediums. I think what they do is incredible. I cannot do anything close to that. What psychics can do. My gosh, such a gift. And I, number one, don't really have the resources to pay for that. I mean, I didn't want once a year to hear from Rob. I wanted an ongoing relationship. I wanted my boy and I were close. I wanted that relationship again. And when I just let go, I just let everything go. And I think on that morning, March 6th, I was so damn sad. I was just so sad. And I've been the happiness speaker for almost 20 years. My whole career has been focused on happiness. And here I was just in the depths of despair. And I think it was just like, I'm just going to have to I just signed to surrender. It was like, I just got to let this all go. And boom, there it was. And so just mamas, papas, auntie, uncles, brothers, sisters, just trust if you're hearing this, it's because they want you to know it's them. And please believe them and accept the message. And I will tell you, as a teacher of this, write down what they tell you, because when you go back and look at it a day from now or a week from now, you're going to be like, oh, damn, I hadn't thought of that, or I hadn't looked at that way. And I don't ask, I love how they're evidential mediums who have evidence. I don't ask for any evidence. I don't need any damn evidence. I know it's my kid. They're talking to me and your kid's talking to you too. So believe them.
Right. That's right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you wonder, gee, could that be a sign? That's 4 times today I've seen this or that thing.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of my child. Could that have been a sign? Yeah, it was a sign. I mean, don't question it.
Yeah. And your kid is up there rolling their eyes going, my God, is 5, 6 times not enough? I'm like, come on.
And yes, they certainly can roll their eyes. Yes, they have a beautiful astral body, and whatever age they were when they graduated, they look young and beautiful. And this is true of all your relatives, everybody. Your great grandmother looks about 30 years old, and everybody. That's what I love. We all get to look young and gorgeous again.
There we go. Our eternal soul. Yes.
Yes, absolutely right. Yeah, it's all so beautiful. And the next time, which will be in, I think, 2 months, something like that. Next time we will talk about his book. But as I say, I just got this inexplicable, extreme illness. I have never, ever been so sick. And it turned out it had easy explanation. And now I'm all better again. But
I'm glad a lot of us need you. We need you to keep showing up and having your program. So please take good care of you.
Yes, well, we certainly need to have it just so we can have you keep coming back on air and telling these wonderful stories. But I know you're still doing the happiness stuff, right? You're still
Oh
doing that?
yeah. Yep. I speak all the time. Yeah, in fact, I have a presentation tomorrow and yeah, fly next month to Charleston, South Carolina and someplace in Ohio. I can't even remember. Yeah. So yes,
Because
I still get to go spread happiness. So it's wonderful.
and you teach primarily for businesses, right? You teach happiness primarily for businesses,
Yep. I
which
do.
they really need. I want
Oh
you to
my gosh.
know.
Yes, yes. I speak, yeah, I speak in healthcare, education, banking. I mean, I've spoken for Walmart and Toyota. You know, it's a huge breadth of the different groups that I speak for because happiness is a universal message. You know, I kind of laugh. My daddy was a minister for 50 years. He was in the pulpit 2 weeks before he passed. My little brother's a stand-up comedian. And I always say, I feel like I just kind of combined them because I believe happiness is a spiritual pursuit. And I think as a speaker, you got to be funny to be effective. So,
Yeah, that's true. But and it
yeah.
is a spiritual pursuit, 100%.
Yeah. And I love to hold that the like all the mamas that are on my list, so often my messages talk about grief and joy and loss and happiness because we can hold both. You know,
Right.
I've talked to moms who they think, oh my gosh, my child died. So now my life is over. So now I never get to be happy again. And I remember when I was 30 and my daughter Chelsea died, and somebody said to me, well, you'll never get over it. And I remember thinking, well, bullshit. Because what I'm 30, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
like, I got a long runway. I'm not going to feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
this for the next 50, 60 years. And, um, and that was really what started me down the path of researching happiness. I'm like, how do we find happiness again after a deep loss? And then that just morphed into a whole nother career. But I think when people say you'll never get over it, I think what they mean is you'll never forget because I don't want to be I hate labels and I don't want to be labeled as somebody who's broken and can't be fixed because I've lost two children. No, I'm still whole and I'm still perfect and I'm still fabulous. And yes, I have on Monday, the 4-year anniversary, I blubbered like a baby most of the day. I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? Most of the time I'm pretty good, and that day I just was feeling all the feels and that's okay. I just felt the feels and I let the tears flow, but I'm not broken. I don't need to be fixed and I can grieve and I can be happy all in the same day,
Right.
all in the same week, all in the same life. And so it's just about embracing all of it. All of it. It's a beautiful part about being in a body. That's why people up there are can't wait to get back down here in a body because this is where we get to have the good stuff. And sometimes the bad stuff is the good stuff. In my keynote, I say we don't
Mhm.
grow in the muck. We don't grow when we're on vacation. We grow when we're in the middle of the muck. That's when we find out who we are and what we're made of. So these difficult things, they can serve us as well.
Kim, sometimes people have asked me, they've said, my child has died. Do I dishonor my child if I'm happy? Is that would that dishonor my child if I was happy again?
Yeah, no, I have had mamas come up to me after almost every room I speak in. There's somebody who comes up to me afterwards that has lost a child because I share about both Chelsea and Rob in my presentation. And to me, I think the best way we honor our child is to go on and live a happy, joyful, fulfilled life. I have looked at
That's
mamas and
exactly what I say.
yeah,
What I say is, it's if you can be happy, you're basically giving your child the opportunity to see your happiness that you're going on and you're sharing joy with that child. Your child will love seeing you being happy now.
yeah, they
The,
are so
the
happy
last
over
thing they
there.
want you to
Yeah,
do is to be sad now. They love you. They don't want to
yeah.
see you sad. They're not sad. They're enjoying their life, their new life.
Yeah. And when you get that it was a soul contract, Rob's life was perfect. Chelsea's life was perfect. Neither of them died too soon, too young. They died exactly when they were supposed to. That was the life of their creation. It was the
Absolutely.
life that they asked for. And you know what? I have to own that too. I asked for this. I was their mother. Before we incarnated, we all agreed that we were going to have these experiences. Chelsea, Rob, and I all came in together, and I agreed to have this experience as much as they agreed to have the experience they did. So why am I doubting myself? Why am I beating myself up? I mean, if I'm honest, sometimes I'm like, geez, Kim, why the hell did you pick this lifetime? Two kids? Is one not enough?
Wait, what you just said is so important. Now people are going to ask me, well, why did a baby die? A 2-year-old? Why did a baby die? Well, sometimes if someone has basically they're ready to graduate from life on Earth. They have
Mhm.
done all the learning they needed to do in on Earth, all of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes what they will do will be to volunteer to be someone's child that and to basically be here for a very short time as a gift to that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And it's basically maybe someone in your family even needed that experience of love and loss of a baby.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there's whole growth to come from having that experience of having that baby die. We don't even understand the complexity of some of these soul lessons that
Yeah.
people can learn from that. But
Right.
when a baby dies, it's always a planned death, and it's always as a gift to other people in that family. And we don't even understand why sometimes, but it
Right.
always is a planned death, always, or
Yep.
so we're
Yep.
told.
And Chelsea shared with me, she's like, Mom, it's kind of like going off the high dive. She said, you know how like she was never
Chelsea
old and
said this to you, your 2-year-old.
Chelsea, yes, Chelsea told me this, that she said, it's like when she was never old enough to do it, but she's like, when kids are going off the high dive for the first time, they go up the ladder, they walk out to the end of the diving board, and then they look over and they can't quite do it. So they come back and they go back down, and then they maybe go back again, and they go and they stand and they look at the end. And finally, they get the courage to jump off. She said, I like the high dive. I like the high dive. This is what my soul needs right now. This is how my soul's growing. This is what my soul's
Oh
experiencing.
my goodness. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So, I think it always works in tandem that our eternal souls are connected in doing whatever work we need to do. And so, in this incarnation, and, I think Rob is in a very different place than Chelsea was. I think Rob is going to be on the other side for a long time. He's stepping into a more enlightened role. Chelsea, I think, was a younger soul, and she liked to come in and go out, come in and go out. I agreed to experience it with both of them. So, I need to own my part in, okay, it might not be clear and it feels so painful, but I agreed to this too. I agreed to have this experience with the both of them.
Wow, that was so profound, though. She sounds like a much older soul than you
Yeah.
think she was. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I guess I just only had her earth side for 2 years, so I still think of her as just that little
Yeah, she
cherub.
sounds
Yeah.
like wise stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. Well, I think they're all wise over on that other side, but wiser than we are, I guess I should
for
say.
sure. Oh, for sure. Oh, my
Yeah.
dear one, we have actually come to the end of our time and then some. I could talk to you all day.
Well, I will look forward to the next time.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about the book because there's a lot in it that I just had begun to read it, and because we were going to talk about it this time, and that was when I got so sick. But we will talk about the book next time. And
Perfect.
my dear friend, you stay right where you are just for a second, and I want to come back and talk with you some more. But I just
Okay.
have to tell everyone who is going to be our next guest. So, my dear ones, once again, We have come to the end of our time together for this week. This has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm very glad you could be with us today. And please never forget that you are a powerful, eternal being. You never began, you never will end. And when you get what that means, all the implications of that fact, it changes everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest will be Tracy Doyle. Tracy is a nationally recognized entrepreneur, emotional wellness advocate, and author of Life Storms, Finding Your Clear Sky. Her journey from a childhood shaped by trauma and instability to becoming an award-winning business leader and resilience coach is a testament to the power of reinvention and healing. She first built a multi-million-dollar medical communications equipment and earned regional accolades from places like Ernst & Young and Entrepreneur of the Year award from somewhere else. She was doing really, really amazing things. But then she had a breaking point, complete emotional burnout. This personal crisis became the catalyst for her to become emotionally, suddenly much better transformed, shall we say. And she created something called the Aurora Method, which was a practical, psychologically informed, mindfulness-based framework for helping professional women to overcome burnout, reshape their limiting beliefs. I think I need her myself at this point, after I became so sick so suddenly, but we'll see. And she wanted people to learn to reconnect with themselves and others. She works just with women, and now she spends her life empowering those other women. After all the things she had done, that's what her life has come down to. And I've begun to read her book, which is really fascinating. So please be sure to join us next week. I think this is going to be wonderful. Our guest this week has been Kim Hodous. She's been with us for the third time, and her story is another one that I think is absolutely wonderful. She had those horrible experiences of losing children, experiences that I think would have broken me, frankly. And yet now she's the co-author of this beautiful book. And I say co-author because I think her son wrote most of it. It's called Beyond Grief: How a Son's Afterlife Connection Transformed a Mother's Loss into a Remarkable Spiritual Journey. And in that journey and through that book, Kim connects us with so many people. It's no wonder that she's become such a popular speaker, because I think she's just fantastic. I love talking to this woman. And so we're going to be talking with her very soon. And I think I plugged her in actually too quickly. I had to move it back a little bit. But we're going to talk about that book next week, or next time we talk with her, because I think the book is beautiful. And I should also mention here just quickly, I can't talk more than just quickly about this, but our dear friend, Craig Hogan, is president and guru of Seek Reality Online. Never forget about that. This is your one connection to all things afterlife. It's beautiful, and if you ever start to worry even a little bit about what comes next, just go to seekreality.com. Learn there everything about the beautiful fact that our life really truly is eternal. Life in the world unseen is more beautiful than you can ever imagine. And that's all we really have time for this time. So, I have books I could never talk to you about. I never get to talk about my own books. We talk about everybody else's. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one eternal reality, always knowing that you are a powerful eternal being, and you, most of all in this entire universe, you in particular, are infinitely, eternally, and perfectly loved.
You've been listening to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Roberta blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Join us every week as we explore what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about the one reality we all share. Knowing the truth changes everything.